Hi, I'm Erik Linask from TMC, and I'm here with Steven Johnson, President of Ingate Systems. Welcome, Steve.
Hello, Erik.
We're here for the latest session of Ingate's Knowledge Base series, where we're talking with Ingate about any and all things related to SIP. That's Session Initiation Protocol, of course. We've talked about SIP trunking. We've talked about NAT Traversal. We've talked about Ingate's role in those things. And last week, one of the things that you talked a little bit about is what happens when NAT Traversal cannot be resolved. That being a one-way communication, of course. So, Steve, can you get us a little bit into about what or how Ingate specifically helps resolve issues that arise with NAT Traversal?
Certainly. As we discussed, NAT Traversal is one of those problems that needs to be resolved before you can ever take on SIP and SIP-based communications. NAT being the translation from the publicly routable limited number of IP addresses available to a much more large number of addresses for the inside of your network to take care of all of the devices we have, including now phones. If the NAT Traversal is not resolved, then you can make a call to me and I will be able to hear it, but I will not be able to respond. If I do respond, you won't hear me. The reason is that if you make a call to me, the only address that is going to be in the header information that is received by my device is going to be your private IP address. That private IP address may be something like a 192.x.x.x, and that is something that the public internet doesn't know what to do with. So if that comes to my phone, somehow, my phone is going to respond to that address. And by responding to that address, whatever I am saying is going to be lost in the world of the internet, never to be seen again, because it can't be routed back to you. So what needs to happen is, if you make a call to me, at the edge of the network, there needs to be an enterprise session border controller such as the Ingate separator, which will resolve the problem by replacing that 192 address with the publicly routable address that is on the outside of the TMC network. When I get that, then my device will respond to that now publicly routable address. It will come to the Ingate separator. The Ingate separator will understand that I'm trying to communicate back to Erik at TMC.net, and it will then find you on your desktop. And now we can have two-way communication. That is what the Ingate does. It keeps track of where you're located. It rewrites the header information so it accomplishes two things. One, it keeps your internal addressing scheme private. And that's one of the security mechanisms that you have in your company, is the privacy of your internal addressing scheme, so that people can't find your servers even if they were to find a way in. And secondly, it allows me, and I guess more importantly for communications, it allows me to then respond to you and we can have a conversation as opposed to you having a monologue to me. So that is how it works. That's the importance of it. And Ingate has the products, as we have said, to accomplish that, among many other things, to make SIP a protocol that can be received by and utilized effectively by enterprises for communications of many different types.
So you talked about how the Ingate products help resolve these issues. What causes these issues in the first place?
Well, what causes them in the first place is that we are today using what's known as IPv4, which has a limited number of routable addresses on the outside of networks. So each company may have only one routable address, and most companies do, except for very large ones. But we have innumerable numbers of devices, laptops, computers, servers, phones, you name it, that actually are looking for an IP address to get connected to the network. So on the inside of the network, we have this addressing scheme that proliferates the number of IP addresses, but those IP addresses are not understood outside of that network. The firewall that sits at the edge of your network And this firewall could actually be something as simple as the router at your home actually makes these, takes the one IP address, converts it into the many, and knows how to route communications of whether data or voice to the appropriate endpoint on the inside. However, most of those devices don't understand SIP, and SIP, unlike some of the other things we do, is at the application layer, not at the transport layer where this natting is taking place. And so there needs to be a special device and special handling in order to make this work for SIP communications. And that's where we come in.
Excellent. Thanks, Steve. I'm Erik Linask with TMC, and thanks for joining us for this installment of Ingate's Knowledge Base series. We've been talking about NAT Traversal issues and specifically how Ingate addresses those. Join Steve next week when he'll talk about port forwarding problems. Thanks again, Steve.
Thank you.